Yo guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another video, and to be honest, the first video of 2026. To start off this year, I'm going to be sharing with you guys the checklist that I've created and pretty much how I used it in the market on Friday, and how it assisted me sort of to follow the protocol, because what tends to happen is there's certain things that I tend to miss on some trades. Obviously, we all are human and we all are sort of learning at the moment. Some of you are already, masters of your protocol, and but there's still many out there that sort of want to follow their mechanical trading approach, but always want that checklist always there. So I decided to create this for you guys, and I've shared it for free. And it's on my Telegram, and I've shared it on many other Discord sort of servers I'm in. But pretty much I'm going to be talking about it, and I'm actually going to go through how I used it on Friday to catch a decent trade. If you go to the chart here, remove that. I'm going to show you how I use this to sort of, guide me to be able to take this trade here. Now remember, this checklist is not there to go and give you the ultimate trading setup, because essentially you need to put the work in first, provide the right POI, the right target, and then the rest it will kind of sort of do for you. But as long as you have done your own, you put your own work into the market, basically, use your own sort of discretion, and provided like the correct POI, like, say for example, if this was my POI and I know that I'm bullish for the day, if I was looking for a sell setup on this day, so for example, maybe I might have caught a trade, but it would have been, a lot harder for me to catch a sell on this day, because the rest of the day sort of continued bullish. So our bias was correct in a way, because we knew that the price was in a buy program, and I'm going to explain all of that throughout this sort of video. So again, what I'm going to do is I'll put the link to this checklist in the description, and how to use is actually right at the bottom. So if you scroll all the way to the bottom, it'll show you pretty much how to use this sort of checklist and how it sort of works and the logic at the moment. Yes, I've had some feedback for this checklist to sort of make improvements, and I will be sort of making those improvements over this weekend and obviously the upcoming weekends. I'll sort of work on this checklist on the weekends and obviously use it, because I don't want it to take away from our trading time and my trading time as well. I don't want to be like there trying to fix the checklist and stuff and miss out on certain moves during the day. So pretty much we have sort of 7 rows, right? We have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, obviously you can see that the top one is the program. So this sort of alerts you what type of program that we're in, and whether that program has or has not been invalidated, pretty much. Then we obviously have high time frame OC. Now this is original consolidation. If you guys know about market maker models, you know that your high time frame original consolidation will be, if we go back to that chart there, will be where you're looking to target for your trade. So for me, my high time frame original consolidation was above this high here, and I was anticipating for price to go back towards this high, which was the sort of prior daily high over there. And if I go to the next one, obviously the higher time frame POI is essentially the point of interest that you've marked out for the day. If I go and double click this indicator, you can see that you can provide the range high and the range low here, and it will mark it out. So you can see 759, 25759, you can see on the far right of this is the price where my mouse is, and then 25713 is essentially the low of this range here as well. And then you do provide the year, the date you want it to draw from, because with TradingView's code, it will essentially start drawing it all the way to the left for, like, all historic candles. So you want to provide a date where you want to start this POI drawing from, just so it just doesn't go all the way to the left here. So I just did it from the start of the day. Yes, it takes the start of the day at 6 a.m. Essentially, because that's like not the true start of the day. Really, the true start of the day is it's just some weird trading view. I think I can improve that anyway. So that's where the POI is drawn, you can see, and you can actually toggle it on and off, whether you want it on the chart or not. But pretty much if your target, the way it works is if your target is above, if you're targeting above and your POI is below, so if I say for example, I'm expecting for price to go into the POI and bounce off it, and my target is above price, which would be this line here, that's where my target is, it would automatically say that I'm in a buy program. If, say for example, I flip this and say that, right, you know, let's just see what example I can provide for you guys. Let's sort of take it there, right? Let's say this was the POI to go short. The way the system, or not the system, the checklist will know that you're trying to look to go short from this candle here to go down and attack these lows is based off your OC. You know that the original consolidation here for this model here, if I mark it out, this is the sort of you know, sell side of the curve, and then this would be sort of your right side of the curve. Sorry, no, that's the buy side of the curve, this is the sell side. So that's your left side, this is your right side. You know that you're trying to target this low right here, because look at all the liquidity that's being built up. Price is obviously back down below the POI. Let's just say, for example, this is your POI. If I go and mark this low as the original consolidation, so for this market maker sell program, 648. So that's 648. So if I change it from 824 to 648, what will happen is you can see on the far right, this has changed to a sell program. And look, the box has also turned red, because this is anticipating that this is the POI that you're going to sell from, right? And then obviously you're anticipating for all of these lows to be taken out, because ever since 9:30, what happened? Price sort of consolidated in a way. And then you want to see that, right, I want to see some sort of manipulation where price takes out this low. So then what ended up occurring, yes, you can see that price ended up taking out all of that, all of these lows. So that's essentially how you'd use the sort of program and make it sort of, you know, kind of dynamic, and it changes depending on where you put your target. So the system will obviously think that you're targeting higher prices, which means that you want to see that the market is in a buy program. You don't want to be targeting higher prices if it's in a, you know, sell program. If the target is essentially lower than price, then it's obviously going to say that yes, okay, you're trying to do a sell program. So you can see where the human interaction of this checklist comes into play. Yes, you have to put like, you know, 3 values in, and essentially the rest is obviously plug and play. So the rest, like the 90-minute sweep, you can see it's ticked because this is the prior 90-minute range from this 10 o'clock, just before 10, all the way to 8:30. And this is the prior 90-minute range. You can see that prices dropped down and swept this low here. So the 90-minute sweep was ticked. Price was obviously within the time of interest for me. Was there SMT? Let's have a look. Asia SMT right here. Look at that. So this means that NQ took out the Asia low, whereas ES did not. So yes, there was SMT. And all we need to look at now is whether there is CSD. Now SMT and CSD are manual checkboxes because, you know, someone's CSD might be different. So I just basically decided to leave that open in terms of has CSD tick and false. So you can manually go and tick that. And then the high time frame POI, the reason that this is an X at the moment is because this is based off if the current price is within the POI. So in certain cases, a reversal may occur within a point of interest, but in some cases it may wick below and come back in. So this is a very tricky one. I'll see if I can adjust that for now. But you can see the reason why that the POI was an X is because where price is at the moment is really dropping lower, faking out this, you know, luring sellers into the market like this is going to absolutely collapse. But because we were still targeting this, you know, high right here, that was the reason why we ended up coming back up. So essentially what I was looking for, if we just sort of break down this trade, now that I've gone through the checklist, what happened with NFP here is at 8:30, price immediately started pushing up, right? Price immediately started pushing up. We then had a point of interest where I was expecting for price to push down into and then push all the way back up. What happened here is at 9 o'clock, price pushed all the way down, and this is where 9:30 opened. If we look at the 9:30 range, we can see that the 9:30 range was essentially just consolidation, right? So then we were waiting for 10 o'clock. From 10 o'clock, I mentioned on my Telegram, what I want to see, if I go to my Telegram and I scroll up here, I mentioned here saying that not the best delivery from 9:30, but price should still be in a buy program because the 1 hour candle did not close below the POI. If you can go back into your charts and check that, you'll be able to see my POI range that I defined here, this high and this low. The 1 hour candle did not close below the POI. I can even take that back and show you. I'll go to the 1 hour. There you go. You can see, look, the 1 hour candle still is within this range. So this is where the buy program is still valid. If this 1 hour candle closed below the POI, one second, my cat is making noise. If this 1 hour candle closed below the POI, right, then this buy program would not have been valid and I would not target this high again. But because price closed within, I still knew that the next candle I'm expecting for price to open low and then push higher. So if you drop back down to the lower time frame again. So then what occurred at 10 o'clock, price opened and then started to push higher again. I wasn't involved in this. I was waiting because look at all of these lows. It's like a trend line liquidity that's been generated here and price needs to give out that manipulation. We haven't had that manipulation. So if you can assume that this is all accumulation, right? What would follow next? If we go next, we've got that manipulation. So now that we have the manipulation, we need to say, is this manipulation over? The way we can find out that manipulation is over is to see that there's SMT in place. Now, if there's SMT in place, we now need to see, is there CSD in place? Now, look at this box I've marked out here. The reason why this is a key fair value gap is because this fair value gap was created when it took out the previous 90-minute low. It's a time-based liquidity. So this fair value gap was created when price broke the prior 90-minute. It created a 90-minute sweep. So you can look at this checklist and say, okay, there's a 90-minute sweep here. Is there a fair value gap? Right, I'm going to mark that up. So then I mark this up, and at the moment it was a bearish PD before because price only tapped into it. Now I remember I'm on the 1 minute time frame. Look what price did. Immediately pushed up here, and then this is where I entered. So if I just go on a 1 minute buy right there, and I put this stop loss just below these wicks here, because I did, just in case price wanted to tap back in, fair enough. But this is a balanced price range now, right? Because we have a candle going through it and a big candle going through it. Look what happens in the next candle. It started pushing up, so it's a fair value gap that's created on the other side now. So this would be my CSD here, and that's my bullish PD. And again, this stop loss was being trailed aggressively anyway, because I wanted to see as price kept climbing up, we have another box that's here, and this box is another fair value gap. So if this price gets above this fair value gap, which again, this was a bearish one. So if price pushes back above this one, you expect it to hold a support. And this is how you can use a market maker model to say the left side of the curve should help you on the right side of the curve. So this is the left side. All the arrays on the left side should act as support as we are going up. So now look, this is an array here. This was acting as resistance. I'm expecting for price to break above it and continue higher. Why? Because the program is to go from point A, which is here, to point B, which is up there. So then what occurred? We had a big candle that went through this. Again, another sort of fair value gap that was created. So this is where I started to bring my stop loss aggressively higher here. Again, I was only in on one contract, so I didn't want to sort of lose out on profits. I can't take sort of half off here. So I decided to sort of aggressively trade my stop loss. And then price has now pushed back above these candles here, which would be like the prior 10-minute cycle highs and stuff, if you guys know about that. And you can see that price acted as support, kept pushing higher here, and then after we hit our target, and then that was the trade that was done. So essentially, if I go into the 1 hour time frame, and I'm going to show you what it looks like now. Notice what I was explaining on the 1 hour time frame, right? I was trying to tell you guys that before we even looked at the market, it was like 8 a.m, right? So if I get rid of that candle, this is what the market looked like beforehand. And at this point, we know that the target that we were looking to target was this high, right? So when the price took out that high, what you're going to see is you're going to see a big spike and price dropping lower, right? This doesn't mean that the liquidity is taken, it's done, it's now going to go down to the lows. This could be an engineered high. We need to see if price closes back below this POI before we start to go and say that, okay, now price is going to use that as a resistance to push lower. But because price is still valid on this high there, and it still closed it in, watch what happens to the next candle. Price opens low, takes out the liquidity, creates Asia SMT, and pushes back above to that candle. And this is the range that you want to calculate. There's a manipulation that occurs. You know, say for example, this candle was accumulation. The manipulation occurred within this wick, and then the distribution also occurred within this wick. So there we have our AMD cycle, and that's how we can anticipate price going back towards those highs. And you can see after that, essentially price closed back above here. It wasn't just a wick, price closed with a body, and look where Friday ended up going. And I think it ended up stopping there. So that was the whole of Friday. And essentially we just took one trade that, for the whole of last week. I think I did take one or two smaller trades actually, to be honest. But this was my main trade. I wanted to focus on that Friday, knowing it was NFP. I missed yesterday because it was the day before NFP. I don't trade that. But it just goes to show you that you don't need to trade many times throughout the week. You just need to go and just, you know, become a sniper basically, and just target those moves. So essentially, yeah, this TTP checklist, put it on your charts if you guys sort of follow the same sort of protocol in terms of trading. If you don't, you don't need it, obviously. This is only specific to this way of trading when you sort of use time and focus on time, then price, which is what TTP is. But essentially, I will keep on, you know, upgrading it. What's going on here? This is because the high time frame OC was 86. Okay, no worries about that. That's a slight bug I need to fix. But yeah, this checklist will keep on getting improved and stuff, so you may see some updates here and there. Just all you just need to do is on this main page where you have TTP checklist, the link will be in the description. I will be putting release notes every time I release it. So I only really started working on it 3 days ago, and you know, we've got some decent turnout into people sort of, you know, forwarding it. But yeah, just keep an eye out. Whenever I sort of release an update, I'll put a release note here saying that, okay, like in this one, you added the ability to view the price cycle high and lows. This will change as you select cycle interval, and the updates will be here and what I've updated. This is like an iOS update, pretty much. You guys know about that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a like, leave a comment if you learned something. Again, links are all in the description. If you stayed this far, you guys are legends. But that's pretty much it. It's been Oasis Effects. Peace out.